Hey everyone, it's Rob Stanley with the FeedbackWhiz podcast, and today my special guest is Brax. He's a six-figure Amazon seller, and he's also known for sharing his basically journey and tips on YouTube, and it's a lot of help to a lot of people. So I've been wanting to get Samer on for almost a year now, and we just haven't quite had time to connect. Samer, thanks for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. The e-com, I like the name.
Yeah, so I've actually, when I first started at FeedbackWhiz, I actually got to meet Samer and connected with them, and we talked all kinds of YouTube stuff. But
I met you before you started.
Yeah, actually it was. It was actually the week before I actually physically started at FeedbackWhiz. I got talked into going up to a meetup in San Francisco, and Samer was the guest. And actually just really hit it off with them because I'm kind of a YouTuber myself. I mean, my whole business was based around YouTube. And so Samer and I talked YouTube for quite a while, but today we kind of want to talk about, and I wanted to get Samer on to go over like different ways you could use YouTube to help your Amazon business. And Samer, I mean,
we'll
I
talk
see
social media more.
What's that?
We'll talk social media more than YouTube. I haven't done much YouTube.
Yeah, well, yeah, in general, right? But I mean, you're still recording stuff, or you're either doing audio stuff, or you're doing, videos. And I mean, like one of the ways I threw out to Samer that I've seen people do is hiring. You could either hire an influencer or ask an influencer to maybe do a review on your product or do an open box. Have you done anything like that, Samer, or kind of what have you done to help either promote somebody else's product or help yourself?
So for my own product that I sell on Amazon, I've had someone do an unboxing video on YouTube, and it's pretty cool because it ranks on Google too. So now whenever someone looks up my brand name, one of the first things they see is a video saying review and unboxing or something like that. And then they get to see that video. So the way that I sort of convinced the person to do it was I told them this. I'm like, if you do a video on this, no one's done it, and there's a lot of search on it. I told them like, hey, look at Amazon, look up the name, and then it auto-completes. So obviously people are searching for it. So since there's a lot of search for it and there's no content on it yet, if you make a video, you'll get free traffic from Google on your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And on YouTube whenever someone's searching about my product. So it's a new product that has search and that doesn't have any content. So it's pretty easy to convince someone who's a small YouTuber to do it. It doesn't have to be someone too big. And the reason I did it wasn't really to get sales, but it is to more get my brand out there. As I said, it's now on Google, on YouTube, and whenever someone searches, there's something there to see.
Yeah, and it helps. I mean, it helps with ranking out on Google too, because YouTube indexes out to Google based on the keywords in the title. And then the good thing you can do in the description, you can actually in the description have a link to the product. So I've seen people do YouTube where they make, obviously they're doing it to help somebody out, but they can also do it where they're an affiliate, right? YouTube, or they're a Amazon affiliate. They turn around, make a video for a product, and then in the description, they can link through it and they get an affiliate credit for it. So that's another way that
they're an affiliate and they get a discount too. Like I give them a discount code, like 10% off for, with code Rob. And they can offer a discount, which is an incentive for them to use their affiliate link too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a way that they can make some money. So, if anybody's listening to this and you're thinking, well, I don't really want to pay somebody, well, there you go. Have them sign up with the Amazon affiliate program. They're getting paid for doing it by that. And that might be enough to maybe influence somebody to go do it. What about other media platforms? I mean, we don't want to just, stay on YouTube, but what other media platforms have you dealt with?
I've used Instagram the most and Facebook second, I would say. YouTube was just like a one-off thing that I did for the unboxing thing, but it's pretty important to rank and index and just to have brand presence. But I've used Instagram a lot and transitioned the Instagram stuff to Facebook and vice versa. And the whole reason that I started this product was to have a brand around it. And I actually stopped selling my other products before just to focus on this. I stopped selling the ones that are not branded, that are just, stupid products that I was selling on Amazon. Yeah. And the whole reason that I did this was to focus on social media and grow an audience. So it started with very basic stuff like posting on Instagram. At first, it was a bit difficult to get content. because all I had was like a few images that I took with a photographer, a few, graphics that we made, and that was it. So it was pretty tough to start, but then we realized we'll just give it away to a bunch of people that, have channel or have pages about the topic or about the brand that I'm selling. We'll give it away for free with no expectations, and all we need in return is just some content to use.
Yeah.
So we started doing that at first on Instagram and a tiny bit on Facebook. While doing that, we also have a Facebook group. So the group is not really about the brand. It's not to sell the product. It's, as you know, the group is more for the, it's like for people to hang out and talk about what the product, how do I say this? It's
kind of to help, right?
Yeah, it's about the niche, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So the group is about the niche, right? So if you're a FeedbackWhiz, you don't have a FeedbackWhiz group, you have an Amazon seller helping group, right?
Yeah.
And that's what your group is called. It's something like Amazon community or something.
Yep.
Right? So people are going to join not to buy FeedbackWhiz, they're going to join to get help on selling on Amazon. So you're attracting them by solving a problem that they have, instead of trying to sell with your group, because no one's going to join a group to buy your stuff when they don't even know anything about you.
Yeah, they're looking for content. They're looking for content and help. So it's kind of, we're talking about different ways, obviously Facebook group. If somebody starts a Facebook group, if you're going to go on there and start a Facebook group and start plugging your product or plugging your, software or whatever, you're not going to really get a lot of people signing up. They're looking for what content are you providing that's going to help them. And then in the meantime, that your name's there, right? Your company name or your brand name, depending on what you're doing. So, that's a good way also, that if somebody's got a product, I don't know, we always go to the garlic press or the iPhone case, right?
Yeah.
Obviously I came from that iPhone world. So like on an iPhone case, maybe you go on there and you talk about, hey, what item or what difficulties you see in a case? Do you want a case that helps it from breaking or looks good, or maybe it's a function of both? You could start a dialogue on there. And I know you do that a lot on your Facebook. What's some of the, just kind of not to get off topic, but what's some of the questions that you hear the most, let's say on your group, from Amazon sellers that are looking for help?
About what specifically, or just in general?
Like, are they just looking for general help on how to get started on Amazon? Or is there, cases that come up of different things that they talk about? Like, what do you most commonly see? Like, how about what it costs? How much does it cost to get started on Amazon? I'm sure you hear that a lot.
So in my group, there's not a lot of very beginner questions like, how do I sell on Amazon? Just because I feel like somehow I attract people who are already selling, which is what I want to do. There's all the basic stuff already there. So I feel like the answers are there, which is why they don't ask. So they search and they find. But I get a lot of either very specific questions about their specific case, like, hey, my profit is this, or my numbers are this. What do you recommend I do? So a lot of, advice on what do you think I should do. Or recently we've been just talking about like business in general and, how to live and how to do this without going crazy, So fun stuff like this.
Yeah. So that's actually very helpful, because people that have been selling on there for a while, it's good to hear from other people that have been selling also for a while, because a lot of times they run into very similar issues.
Yeah.
But just to back up slightly, you mentioned Instagram, right? Okay. But let's make it clear to people that, like, on Instagram, when you post stuff, a lot of times you're posting it in the sense of you're promoting like a brand. You're not always clickable unless you use something like a piece of software where you can click through, let's say, a link on your bio or something like that. So how do you solve those problems? You usually do, like in the image or the video, do you tell people go search it on Amazon? Like, help us a little bit with how do you do a little bit of marketing on the Instagram?
So on Instagram, the idea or the strategy that I have is to just bring people into my ecosystem. Mm-hmm. It's very rarely, direct selling. Right now, we sort of figured it out a lot more than before, but now we post a lot of videos of people using the product, right? Of other people using the product, because the main thing with Instagram, you want other people to see it and to imagine themselves as that person using the product. And there's no better way to do it than with user-generated content.
Sure.
Right? So I post a bunch of videos, mostly videos of people using the product. And then in the bio, I have just a Shopify link. It doesn't even go to Amazon. It used to be to Amazon until I built a very basic Shopify store. So if people are interested, they go to the Shopify link and buy. So the only times that I do promote heavily is if there's a launch or if there's like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, and that stuff. But mostly what I do is just showcase different ways of using the product by using other people's videos who are using my product.
Yeah.
So when we first started, it was a bit difficult to get people to do this. My strategy at first was to try to reach out to influencers who have, let's say, less than 20,000 followers, anywhere between, a couple thousand to 50,000 or 60. And my strategy was to have a conversation with them and like become friends with them. But that was taking too long, and they get a lot of messages, and it wasn't very effective.
Yeah.
When it worked very well. So when it worked, we really made friends with that person, and now we even have photos of them on our Amazon page, and they love the product they promoted. So connecting with a person obviously works, but at scale, it's hard to, do it every day and do a lot of it. So later we were like, okay, we need to change strategies. I came up with a couple of lines of like a template message to send to everyone, and we blasted it to a couple hundred people every day. So now we do like 50 to 100 messages per day, and the results were pretty crazy. We get people with hundreds of thousands of followers replying to us saying, yes, I'm down. So the message is very simple, and it's very, straight to the point. It's like, hey, I started this brand, I have this product, and I'd love to send you a free, a free sample to try it out. But you also add something that's like specific to them. You go on their page, you see that they have a dog, they love their dog. You try to relate to them in some way, but super quickly, right? So it's just one template where you modify it a tiny bit per person. You send it to a bunch of people, and then people start replying. And you're not asking for anything in return. You just want to send them the product for them to try it. It's like, hey, I started this company, and I'd love to get your opinion on my product. That's literally it. And then from what I've seen, pretty much 99.9% of people that I send my product to post a video about it and recommend it. And like I said, I never asked for this.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not asking for anything. I'm like, hey, I'd love to send you my product and, see what you think of it. And they're like, yeah, for sure. I love this kind of product. Obviously, we're finding people who are interested in the product. And then from there, we get free promotion. We get free content that we can use. And then depending on the relationship with that person, we start running giveaways with them. And that's really how we grew our page. When we find someone who's excited or more excited than others about the product, we go like, hey, I'm glad you posted about it and you like it. How about we do a giveaway together and we offer your audience a free product? And of course, they're going to love it because it's free, like it's very good value for their audience. And it's also another way for them to grow their own page, because when we do the giveaway, it's like, hey, comment below, tag 3 friends, and follow us and them. So our page grows, their page grows, they get content, their audience loves them more, which is basically what they want at the end of the day. Yeah. And that's how we grow the page and get people, hearing about us. Yeah. So after we've done this for a while, we started noticing now that our brand has become a name that's heard between these influencers. Because if you find the right people, it's like they know each other. If you guys watch me on YouTube, you probably know a couple of names around me that do the same things, like Matt Loberstein, Tom Wong, and these guys. Yeah. So if you infiltrate these circles, then they start talking to each other about this product, and then it just becomes a brand that people talk about. So most of this was not really planned from the start. We just started with something very, very basic and even stupid sometimes, but we learned from it and, iterated and tried something new. And then we got to this point now where it's almost automated and it works, sort of.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, hopefully everybody listening heard those tips, because what you basically just said is when you're contacting these people, A, you need to contact enough people, and B, they need to be in the category or in that area of the product. Like you're not going to, if you're selling a dog item and you go to somebody who's a cat lover, that's not going to connect.
So here's how I find them. I have Like we started by just searching for random people, but now we figured out exactly how to find these people.
Yeah.
Go to Amazon or find a product that's similar to yours, that's actually exactly like yours, and look for a brand that's doing well online. So go to Amazon, look for, the ones with a lot of reviews. Usually they have, good social media presence. Go to Instagram and see how they're doing. And then the first thing you can do after you see if they're doing well, go to the photos that people tag them in. So on Instagram, there's the brand's photo, and then on the right side, there's tagged in. Mm-hmm. And then you can see where other people are tagging using the product and tagging them. So those people are influencers, or they're just people using the product. Mm-hmm. You find one of these people, and then you go to their profile. You can reach out to them, or you don't even have to. In their profile, there's like an arrow on the top right. You click on it, and then you get suggested a bunch of people. This is basically Instagram saying these are people who are similar to this person. And that's what you're looking for. Someone who would recommend your product, or a product that's just like yours, and more people like them. Mm-hmm. So that's basically sort of a shortcut to find people who would be willing to do what you want to do, because you've seen them or people like them do what you want them to do.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I like the fact that you pointed out, and this is crucial because I see this a lot, like on LinkedIn, for instance, for me, is that you're doing a little bit of research on that person and making that message to them personalized, right? You were just saying how, if they're interested in dogs or something, you mentioned something about dogs, as long as the product relates. And I see that a lot, like on LinkedIn, when people contact me on LinkedIn, I've gotten resumes on the first time, and I'm just like, are you hiring? Or, hey, will you promote this or do this? Or I'm just like, wow, how about you just say hi first and let's connect. And then you can, sales pitch me softly. Yeah. And I found that works. Like when I do that to other people, because being in marketing for FeedbackWhiz, I got to go out there and find, agencies and FBA sellers and all that stuff, or affiliates and whatever. And it's like, if I start out and just immediately hit you with, hey, hire us or come work with us or whatever, people are turned off. And It's like, how about a, hi, here's who I am. I help out Amazon sellers. Our software does this. Nice to meet you. Something very simple as that. But I always go into their profile and see, who are they? What do they do? Are they in the Amazon world? You don't want to hit somebody who only sells, let's say, on eBay, and I'm asking them to come use FeedbackWhiz, which right now is an Amazon software, right? So yes. I think that same approach is what you do on Instagram, and that's what you're basically saying.
Yeah. So do a little bit of research on the influencer. Find out what they're into, what they do in their regular life, and it's very easy to connect with someone once you relate to them in some way. And you can Google anyone's name and find a lot of information on them. Like I got a call yesterday from a recruiter. They're like, hey, we're looking for mechanical engineers, and we saw that you worked at this place. And I'm like, I worked there in 2014. You could have done a tiny bit of research and saw that my Facebook page is different. My Instagram, I'm here and there,
Yeah, I get that quite a bit too. Yeah, it happens. That's how you tell quickly who's doing their homework and understands you and who's not. And who's just basically spamming you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's definitely one of the ways. So let's talk a little bit. I know that you do. Was it like a live sort of Facebook Live, ask me questions type thing? Talk a little bit about that. How's that been? How does that help you? A lot of people look to you for answers. So talk a little about how that kind of came about.
So my whole presence online is all about being a seller who started from scratch and is figuring things out and sharing what I'm figuring out. So the way that I do the lives is I bring on people who are better than me, because I'm not the best at anything. I'm just figuring stuff out. I figured a lot of things out, but there's a lot of people that do a lot better than me. I bring them on, and I don't even ask them questions myself. I maybe start with a few questions, but it's a live video, so people watching from the group, they get to ask the questions. So I'm just a middleman that's like, hey, this guy is successful. Hey, you're selling. Talk to each other now.
Yeah.
So it's been
most questions.
Yeah, it's been doing very well in the group. If anyone has a Facebook group for their brand, doing lives really boosts the group. Whenever I do a live, because people watch, like any platform, what they want is to have people spending a lot of time on the platform. So if I do a live on the Facebook group, Facebook's going to see that I'm the reason that people are spending time on Facebook. They're going to reward me by sending me more people to the group.
Yeah.
So anytime I do a live, the next day I see 10 to 20 new people that want to join the group just because, you know, the algorithm pushed my group. So it applies to Instagram too. Like if you want to grow your page, the idea is to have people come to your page and somehow stick around. Yeah. Same if you have a Facebook group for your brand, and that's what I'm working on now. There's something called the units section in the group, and that's basically a very good way to organize information or whatever value that you're providing. You organize it almost sort of like in a course, and that's one of the ways that you can have people want to be in your group instead of, you know, having them in the group to just sell them something, because you don't want them to just go to the group because they bought your product or they're interested in your product. You want them to go in the group so that they can hang out there because they find solutions there. So have these solutions organized in the units. That's what I already do on my with my Amazon group, and that's what I'm working on now with my brand group.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, as soon as you're a part of the group, so I'll give you a chance in a second to plug your group name, both of them. But if you want, but once you're on there, if anybody who's on Facebook or if you have the tab open, you're going to get a pop-up that says, "Hey, Samer's about ready to go live. Jump on there and listen." I mean, anytime I get a chance, I jump on there and listen because I was curious who's going to ask questions and what they're asking. And sometimes I even throw an answer in there, or I throw a question to Samer, or depending who he has on, because it's just great, right? If you're going to sell on Amazon or be part of a community, be involved in it, you know, but also go on there and learn. It's a great place to go learn and to see what other people are asking. Because I've definitely seen some questions on there. I was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of curious what the answer is to that, you know, depending who your guest is. But yeah. So go ahead and tell them what your group is, so that way, because you're giving great points here, and I want to make sure that they're on your group to follow you.
So it's called the Brax Amazon FBA group on Facebook, or Samer Brax on YouTube. But I do want to talk about one more thing about Instagram, because we talked about content, which does lead to sales, but it's not direct selling. But I did try something recently which leads to direct sales, and it was a pretty interesting experience. So right before Black Friday, I talked to a bunch of influencers that I had already worked with. So people that I did giveaways with, and I was like, hey, we want to do something interesting for Black Friday. Would you be willing to try it out with us? And they were like, yes. So the strategy was to offer a product for free. And instead of doing it in a post where they have to comment, we did it in their stories. And any Instagram page that has more than 10,000 followers, they have the option to have people swipe up, which opens a link or opens a browser or opens whatever. So we targeted our influencers that have more than 10,000 followers, and we gave them a ManyChat link. So the strategy was, hey, if you want a free product, swipe up to get to hear more, or swipe up to get the information on how to get the free product. They swipe up, it takes them to ManyChat, and then in ManyChat, it's my brand saying, hey, welcome to the giveaway, here's how to win. All you have to do is do this and that. So now we have all these people on a list on ManyChat.
Yep.
Before that, we would do a giveaway, and I would see so many people interested, but only one person wins. Yeah. And I was like, that's you know, it's such a loss to not have all these people, you know, either buy the product or get anything. So what's the point of having all these people raise their hands wanting the product if only one person wins?
Yeah.
In this case, I have them all on ManyChat. And what we did was we announced it. We announced the winner on, it was either Black Friday or Cyber Monday. And then we were like, today's Cyber Monday, 50% off. And for you guys that came from this person, you get 60% off, and it's limited. So it's a good discount. It's limited amount. It's limited time. So there's a lot of urgency. And the way that they buy it is on Shopify, which our margins are a lot higher than Amazon, right? Yeah. So that 60% is not the same as 60% off on Amazon. You know, yeah. We made a lot more from the 60% than from the whatever discount was on Amazon.
Sure.
So the first time that I tried this actually did not work at all. The first time that I tried it with an influencer that had 250,000 followers. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of people there. We've done some posts with them in the past. They enjoyed our product. Let's do it. So they did the swipe up. Only 10 people opted in.
Oh, geez.
Out of 250,000. And then obviously,
why do you think that was?
It could have been the timing. It could have been the way that they posted. It could have been that, you know, it's a brand that they had never heard of or hadn't heard of enough before. I'm not sure. Or they had like bad engagement, which they did. Later, I used a tool called People Map to just gauge engagement rates.
Yeah.
And their engagement was not the highest. They either bought a bunch of followers or, you know, their account health is not that good. So, you know, Instagram doesn't show their posts to a lot of people. But I'm not sure. Like, we even paid that person. We even paid them. That was the first time ever that I paid an influencer. Wow. And I think it was 100 something. And we almost quit on that strategy. But then I was like, let's try it one more time.
Yeah.
We found another influencer that we had worked with who had only 60,000, not only, but like 60,000 followers.
Yeah.
And we did it with them for free. They did not ask for any money. So it was free. They did the swipe up and a bunch of people started coming in. I think it was 20 to 30 people. Which is not bad.
That's good.
Yeah, 60,000. How many people are going to see the story? And then how many people are going to be interested, right? So out of those 20 something, we got at least 5, I think, sales on Shopify, which is not a lot. But this at least proves that my strategy works and that I can somehow replicate it.
Yeah.
And improve.
I got a couple questions for you. So the person that you found that it did work, you did a little background on them to find out like how many interactions they're getting. You're mentioning, what'd you mention? The people finder, you said?
People Map.
People Map. That's right. I think I've actually seen that. Did you use People Map before you went to them to kind of make sure? Because even though they have 60,000, if they got a lot of engagement, you're going to get a lot more from that than somebody that has 100,000 with low engagement, right? So is that how you kind of help narrow it down to that person?
Yeah. So after that first failure, I started looking for ways to validate an influencer. And People Map was one of the things that I found. I think the first influencer had like a 2% engagement rate. Mm-hmm. And the other one, the newer one that we used had like a 5% engagement rate. So that was already, you know, better than the 2%. That worked. And then you can just look at their comments. And a lot of times influencers have a lot of comments, but if you look through them, it's like other influencers hyping each other up.
Yeah.
And usually they're in engagement groups where they're like, hey, I just posted, go comment to help me with the post.
Boost it. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's a bunch of influencers following each other and commenting on each other, then who's buying? Right?
Yeah.
So you need to find someone that has real people excited about what they're posting. And, you know, People Map was one of the ways that I looked at it from a numbers perspective. And yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And then also, I mean, obviously you're also giving tips away here on how to collect a database of buyers or interested buyers with the ManyChat. I mean, now you've got these people that if you launch a new product, you can hit them up and say, hey, I've got this new product. Here's 50% off, 6% off, or even a limited giveaway of so many. I mean, so you're talking, I mean, there's a lot going on right here. You're talking product launch strategy, you know, new products, how to collect, you know, basically users outside of Amazon. You're driving them to Shopify. So now you have their product. Are you fulfilling your Shopify? Is it fulfilling through Amazon? Or are you still fulfilling it by Amazon?
It's fulfilled through Amazon with like one click of a button on Shopify.
Yeah. And I mean, I also understand that, you know, when you go to some of these influencers, I feel it's a little bit like blasting out an email, right? Like if you send out 10,000 people on your email list, you may get 1 or 2% that come back, you know, that actually reply to it or click through it. So it kind of sounds like it's that same sort of way when you're doing a promotion. But, you know, again, you got 5 sales and you paid $0. That's 5 free sales and it went through your Shopify. So now you've A, collected them to come back to them. B, you still made some money on them. And, you know, it's like a no-brainer. I mean, those are free. That's free money.
Yeah,
So
the only thing that I spent was just sending one free unit to the influencer and then to the winner.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, and through that, within that many chat sequence that I send them the first day, it also says if you want more interesting stuff like this, join our Facebook group or follow
Oh
us on
yeah,
Instagram. So I never end a conversation with someone. It's always an open-ended thing at the end where it's like either a question or a suggestion or follow us here.
yeah. So a question I have for you is anybody who's listening, let's say they haven't really done a lot of social media, or if they have, they don't have very many, they got less than 100 people on their different channels or whatever. Like, what would be the first thing you'd recommend? I mean, we've kind of gone over a lot, but just for them, would they go to YouTube, go to a influencer on Instagram? What would you feel would be kind of like their first step to get going in this process?
So the first step for people that don't have a lot of followers or have like a young account,
Yeah.
figure out what you're good at or whatever your lowest hanging fruit is and go all in on it. There's so many ways that you can launch something or that you can grow something, but figure out what you're good at or what you can do or one thing that you learned and then focus on that one thing only and then grow from there. So, and there's going to be a lot of, hustle at the beginning. For every post that you post, you're going to have to share it for as much as possible. That's how I started my YouTube channel. Actually, that could be some good advice. The way that I started my YouTube channel from scratch, obviously no one knew who I was.
Yep.
But the way that I started it was I was in a bunch of Facebook groups about Amazon. So just like your Facebook group, just like my Facebook group. I was in there asking a lot of questions because I was learning how to sell on Amazon. So I asked enough questions to where apparently people knew my name. People started getting used to me asking questions. And then they saw me slowly growing and they were interested in seeing what I do next because I was just starting and I was talking a lot. I was very vocal. So I sort of infiltrated the community. That would be step one for you. I was vocal in it. I let people know who I am. And then once I had enough friends in there, I posted a post that was like, before that, I started getting a lot of questions. So I'm posting a lot. People had questions. They knew my name, so they thought of me first. They come to me, hey, I heard you just looked for a product. How did you do it? For example. So then I started getting a bunch of questions, and it got to a point where I was getting the same questions over and over again, and I had to write the same answer. And I didn't like to write the same thing over and over again. I was lazy. So I'm like, I'll just make a video and respond to you with that video because I know what the question is.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that. And then one day I was like, hey guys, I want to start a YouTube channel where I document what I'm doing. August 26th or whatever, hold me accountable to it. I made that post in a Facebook group and I got a lot of comments. And that was basically my launch list for my YouTube channel. Yeah. So the way that you can do it from scratch is something very similar to this, where you find out where your audience is hanging out. You infiltrate that community. You learn about their language. You get to know them. And then you have them get to know you. It's basically networking.
Yeah.
Right? There's no hack. Go talk to people. And then when I launched the YouTube channel, every single post that I made, I had to really hustle to get every single view because, there's only a couple dozen, maybe 100 people that follow me at first. So every post that I made sure that it was shareable, it was very valuable, and it was, helpful to people to where they'd watch it and would want to share it to someone else. So I'd make posts talking about the problem that I solved in that video in Facebook groups. People would come to me saying, hey, thanks for that post. And I'd go like, okay, here's the YouTube video. So that first step of finding the community and, infiltrating it, and then start posting and hustle for every post to make sure that a lot of people see it. And then at some point, the algorithm starts liking you and then you start getting organic growth.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the way my channel started. Very similar. That's probably why I hit it off with you so much, because I started with basically posting up a free sort of how to take something apart, and questions started hitting me. Where do I buy it? That turned into a business. Then it was like, okay, let's get more videos going. And then that giving out free content on, how-tos is what we were doing. And by the way, there's our name in there, so people go back to our website and buy. But
Yeah.
I mean, if people are looking for content, I mean, here's what I'm hearing from you, and here's a suggestion probably from both Sammer and I. If you're looking for content, get on the different groups and start looking at the pains. What are people posting? What are you seeing similar that is basically a pain point? And then maybe go make a video about how to solve that. Of course, make sure you know the answer before you go post it. But I'm sure that probably is a way you even come up with content, Sammer, is just based on what people are posting or pains that they're feeling. Again, like you said, you didn't want to have to copy and paste or reply to 5 different or 10 or 20 different people. Well, if that many are posting it, just do a video on it. Now the answer's there.
Yeah,
So,
and we're talking about Amazon, like my Amazon YouTube channel and this stuff, but it's exactly the same thing for your Amazon product and brand. If you're selling coffee stuff, people are looking to solve an issue that they have when making coffee. So get into the coffee niche, see what they're talking about, and see the type of language they use. So if you notice, and if you're in my group and you notice how I do things, I usually post something where I get your opinion. And then a few days later, you see a video about it where I'm using the exact same language that you used because that's what you're thinking. That's what you're thinking about. And that's, you'll understand what I'm saying if you're hearing it the way that you would say it.
yeah, no, that's exactly true. So that's awesome. So, I mean, Sammer and I probably could sit here for another 2 hours talking, but I know he's got things to do. So, but before we go, Sammer, why don't you just tell everybody, give them a brief history. How did you get into selling on Amazon? What did you do before going to Amazon? Give us a little background on how you got started.
Sure. So I studied mechanical engineering in Lebanon. That's where I lived before. And right after I graduated from there, I moved to Canada. I live in Montreal now. I moved here with no job or no school to go to or nothing planned. I just moved for immigration. And I came here hoping to find a job. But then turned out that this city is full of universities. There's like 10 universities. So there's way too many students and obviously not that many jobs. Yeah. So they're going to choose students from universities that they've heard of instead of this guy that came from nowhere. So it took me a whole year to find a job. And while looking for a job, I had nothing to do. So I started figuring out what to do based on what I'm good at. And one of the things that I figured out I was good at is social media. Mm-hmm. So because I had a food blog on Instagram in Lebanon, and I was like, oh, cool. So I grew this page. So I had 7,000 followers on that food blog, and I figured out that, okay, maybe I know a few things about how to do this stuff. Yeah. So 7,000 followers, and I started watching videos on YouTube on what to do with these followers, or how to do this again, or how to do this type of thing to make money, or to do anything with it. So from watching content on YouTube on how to do social media, I saw people talking about selling on Amazon because they're both related, as you saw from this podcast. Like we've been talking about social media and Amazon the whole time. Yeah. So I saw people selling on Amazon, and that was back when fidget spinners were a thing, were a big thing. So people were making a lot of money from fidget spinners. So there was a lot of hype on Amazon. So the first thing that I did was I tried some arbitrage. I went to Walmart. I went to Toys R Us. They're right next to each other where I live here. And I bought a box of just random stuff. And I sent it to Amazon, and a few weeks or days later, I got my first sale. And that was like the first validation of, well, there's something here. So I did arbitrage for a tiny bit. I didn't love it, so I didn't want to do too much of it because I hate shopping. I hate going to the mall and like buying stuff. So I started getting into private labeling, and now I'm here.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and actually, I found I got my first job here in Canada because of Amazon, because I put this stuff on my CV. I worded it in a way where it's like supply chain management, which it is. You know, you're sourcing, you're getting samples, you're shipping stuff, and mechanical engineering, in some ways, can be similar to supply chain management with industrial engineering. So, as a mechanical engineer with supply chain management experience with my own business, I got some interviews. And then at the interviews, really all I had to do was talk about my Amazon business, and people were like, whoa, what is this stuff? So if they're impressed, they probably will like you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so let's let's have you go ahead and plug anything, make sure you plug the Facebook group again, how people get a hold of you, and we'll wrap it up here. So go ahead, Samer.
All right, let's do it. So the Brax Amazon FBA group, Brax, BRAX, that's my last name. That's the Facebook group. It's probably the best resource, free resource for you guys. You get in there, you ask a question any time of the day. There's always someone to answer. Yep. There's new sellers, there's big sellers in there. And it's the best way to reach me. My DMs are a tiny bit full sometimes, so I hang out in the Facebook group a lot more than I hang out in my DMs. So yeah. If you do want to DM me, it's Samer Brax on Facebook and on Instagram. And my YouTube channel is also Samer Brax. And I think that's it.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to also throw in there, if you see Samer at any of the Amazon meetups or conventions, feel free to go over to him. He's a very approachable, easygoing guy. Probably I'll be hanging out with him because usually when I'm around him, I go hang out and we talk all kinds of old school YouTube and social media stuff and where we came from. But Samer, I appreciate you being on the EcomWhiz podcast, and we'll try to get you back on maybe later this year, and we'll go over some more stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Maybe next time I'm in California, I'll pass by.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more information, please visit feedbackwhiz.com.